Mr. Appathurai, soon it's going to be 1 year since NATO called Bosnian authorities to submit an annual program. Nothing happened since. Is there any mechanism that you could oblige the Sarajevo authorities to do this?
Well, of course not. We offered an invitation to them to say that we were open to receiving the annual national program, and we are still open to receiving the annual national program. From our point of view, we want the annual national program to be submitted because it offers us a greater opportunity to support reforms in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I think everybody in all parts of the government, but also in the population, want reforms to go forward, and this helps us to help. Of course, there's a political resonance to it as well, but really it's a practical tool for us as well. And so we are very open to its being provided to us from the authorities there. But of course, we don't oblige, we don't impose, and it's very much up to the government and the people of the country.
Speaking of government, exactly NATO is stumbling block information of the government now. How do you see your role, the role of this institution in the future of the political future of the country?
So I think it's important to be clear that NATO never made it a condition that the formation of the government was in some way linked to the annual national program. We don't need the government to make this the thing that determines whether or not they manage to form. So for us, of course, we do need it from the government, not from one part of the government. That's very, very important. But it is an internal discussion for Bosnia and Herzegovina to form a government. We don't make this connection.
Is there any time frame for this submission of this national program? Your move, dated December 2018, is pending until they make the move, or there is a limit when you say, okay, this is enough?
There's no time limit. We can carry on cooperation under the existing program that we have, and that's what we're doing. And we have an office in the country that's helping to support defense reform. And defense reform is really a very important part of the overall reform process in the country, because defense has to be and should be a national institution in every country in the world. Defense is a national institution, and so we are and will continue to support the development of the armed forces, of the defense ministry, and we have a program to do that agreed with the government of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The annual national program would take that to a new level, and that's why we are open to their providing it, but we have no time limit, and as I say, we're not imposing anything on them.
Is Bosnia taking bomb?
So let me say this. We have had a very long cooperation with Bosnia and Herzegovina. And for us, as I just said to you, the main concern that we have is formation of the government, because formation of the government will allow for the reforms to go forward that we believe are very important for Bosnia and Herzegovina, that we support and will continue to support. And of course, as we just discussed, we'd like to see and are open to seeing the annual national program because we can do more reform. The issue of security is one which I think is very important to note. Every country, or almost every country in Europe, faces, we all face in every one of our countries, the question of radicalization, the question of returning foreign fighters from Syria. You and I are talking here in Belgium. As far as I know, Belgium has the highest per capita number of fighters that have gone to Syria to fight with Daesh. I say all this not to say that Bosnia doesn't have a problem. It does have a problem. We all have, to a greater or lesser extent, challenges. But now I return to where I started. One of the most effective ways to deal with the challenge of radicalization and returning foreign fighters is to have effective security institutions, effective border controls, effective programs to deal with radicalization. And all of that requires reform. So the formation of a government, putting in place effective programs that NATO in some ways can support and the EU can support as well, is the best way to deal with this problem, which is, yes, a problem there, but a problem, frankly, right across Europe.
NATO has been stabilizing factor, actual stabilizing factor in the region of Western Balkans. Half of the countries are already members, the other half are in the hall waiting. We have issue of Macedonia. What are the timelines now? Are you respecting the timeline of last year for full membership of Macedonia, or are you going to accelerate to somehow restore the damage that has been done with EU shutting its door to this country?
So you're absolutely right. NATO was committed to security in the Western Balkans. We have had military operations there. We still have a military operation there. We have reform programs with every country that's not a member. We have 3 offices in the region supporting reform. So the people of the entire region can be absolutely sure that NATO is committed to the Western Balkans, and we will stay that way. When it comes to open door, as we call it, taking in new members, we are right on schedule. So we have already taken in Montenegro, and we are waiting for the accession processes in all of the NATO capitals to be completed for North Macedonia to join, but there is no question that that will happen. The only complicating factor, frankly, has been the delay in Spain to form a government, because as you know, they've had a couple of elections and they simply have a mechanical requirement to have a government in place so that all the next steps can happen. That will happen, and we anticipate that in early spring, North Macedonia will join the alliance. So we are on schedule and we will stay on schedule, and I hope that at the leaders' meeting that we are going to have in London in early December, it'll be quite obvious to everyone that North Macedonia is right on the doorstep and about to join.
This early spring would mark 1 year since NATO, or NATO Secretary General, warned seriously Kosovo authorities for their decision to form Kosovo Army and transfer the KFC to actual army. There was a ministerial here in the HQ when you announced that later during 2019 you would come up with certain decisions, but nothing happened in fact.
Well, what's happening is, on the one hand, the KFOR mission is staying exactly as it is and as it should be, which is...
But that was never questioned.
It was never questioned. Well, some people questioned whether we meant that too, but we didn't mean that. So I think people can be quite sure that the military operation will stay and continue to do its job, ensure a safe and secure environment. The question related to what kind of reform support NATO would provide to the Kosovo Security Force or a potential Kosovo future army. We are looking now internally at what this will mean. It is a practical discussion, it's also a political discussion because of the implications, of course, in Kosovo for Kosovo's relations with its neighbors, but also we have, this is no secret, recognizers and non-recognizers inside the alliance, and for them this is a complicating issue. So we do need to discuss it a little bit more, and I'm quite sure there will be some ramifications, but we're not there yet.
But those ramifications concern Kosovo Security Force, not Kosovo, because in previous speeches of Secretary General, he was referring to relations between NATO and Kosovo.
From what I can see, the real implications are for support to the Kosovo Security Force or Kosovo Army. Of course, there are larger political questions relating very much to our support, for example, for Pristina-Belgrade dialogue, but NATO is committed to ensuring safe and secure environment in Kosovo, but also contributing to better relations between Kosovo and its neighbors. We have excellent relations with Serbia as well. There are not too many very substantial challenges left in the Western Balkans, but one of those is the the Pristina-Belgrade relationship and solving this issue. So we want to do our best to contribute to that.
But this doesn't necessarily influence your relationship with Serbia, having in mind that it's the only country that actually doesn't aspire the full membership. Do you hope that at one point this neutrality will change and Serbia will become one of all members of the region that really dream about becoming members of NATO?
Honestly, we have a lot of members. So we aren't looking for new members. Our approach is to leave the door open to countries that meet the standard and that want to join. Serbia has made it 100% clear that it has no interest now, or from what I can see for the foreseeable future, to join NATO. We respect that. We respect their neutrality. We have excellent partnership relations with Austria, Sweden, Finland, Switzerland, Ireland. Neutrality, political neutrality or military non-alignment, it is no problem for us to have good, practical and political relations with a country that has that as its approach.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.